Merry Christmas, everybody. From the Jerry Brazy podcast to all of you out there. Today is December 23rd. It is my daughter Kira's birthday. I'm very excited. We're going to go to a hockey game tonight. For me, that's everything I need for Christmas. Get to spend the afternoon and evening with my family, eating, going to a hockey game with my daughter. There is nothing better. But a quick note about Christmas. Last year I talked about my mother and her ability to have got us Christmas presents, even no matter what they were, no matter how bad off things were. She always seemed to be able to find money to buy sometimes even the simplest things. The cue back here that everybody sees, it's bought at Safeway or bought at Kmart back in the day. Nothing special, not very straight. But somehow, as a 14, 15-year-old, my mother was able, as me as a 14-year-old, my mother was able to scrape together enough money to get me that pool cue. I still have it with me today. I have the case. I don't play with it. It's not really a playable cue, but it's a great memory about what Christmas is and what Christmas is all about. And for me as a kid, Christmas is very special because when you come from the kind of background that I have, 8 brothers and sisters, not a lot of money, things are tough, but there was always something coming for Christmas. And the thing I remember very specifically, and I've told this story many times, but I thought I'd tell it here real quick, is I don't know that I could get a better gift at Christmas than sugar cereal wrapped in Christmas wrap. That was a regular gift that we got every year, because sugar cereal was something that was so in demand if you're a kid growing up in the years that we did. This is primarily in the 70s. And you couldn't watch a Saturday morning cartoon. This is when there was only 3 channels. You couldn't watch a Saturday morning cartoon without there being 100 commercials trying to sell Sugar Crisp and Sugar Sweets and every other kind of sugar cereal. Honeycombs was always the one because it came in that great big box. And I remember just daydreaming as we're watching Saturday morning cartoons in black and white on a television that was probably maybe 14 inches, and the sides would wave like this because the TV didn't work very well. And one of us would have to stand there or sit there with our foot on the top of this huge console television that just had a tiny little screen in it to work as an antenna. The channel changer on the television was gone, and this was metallic and heavy, no plastics, nothing cheap. This thing been around forever. And we would have a screwdriver, or we would have a pair of pliers, metal pliers. There's nothing rubber wrapped in those days. Metal pliers, stick it on there, and to change the channel, inevitably you were going to get shocked, but a channel had to be changed. There was a new cartoon to be watched on Saturday morning, all 3 channels that we had to watch. And so we would watch these commercials come and go. And of course, we never ate anything out of a box. A lot of potatoes and hamburger and things of that nature because money was just tight. There wasn't money for that. But at Christmas time, my mother would go to the store and she would get us the sugar cereal and she would wrap it and we would wait anxiously. I remember it very well. Again, I don't know that there's a better gift anyone could ever get me than that box of sugar cereal. And we would immediately try to identify under the tree what was the cereal that we were getting. And you could tell. Anybody that's eaten sugar cereal knows, you have the honeycomb box, and it's a giant box, so it's pretty easy to spot. The Fruity Pebbles are pretty easy to spot, too, because they're a tiny little box, and so they're thin, and it's not nearly as big as a standard box. It starts to get a little bit more complicated with Captain Crunch or Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Those 2 boxes are roughly the same, although they have a very different noise to them when you shake them. So I think that figuring out what one was Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries and which one was the Kellogg Sugar Frosted Flakes was a pretty easy call. As the cereal started to become more and more later into the 70s and the early 80s, it probably became harder. I don't remember. I remember specifically 6, 7, 8, 9 years old getting that sugar cereal. And that really cemented for me Christmas. It didn't matter that I didn't get the fancy bikes. It didn't matter that I didn't get the race tracks and all of the other things that you see on commercials and while you're watching television, or my little brother who's 22 months younger than me grabbing the Toys R Us insert out of the newspaper Anybody below about 30 years old probably doesn't even know what that means. And we would lay on the floor with a pen or a crayon, and you'd go through the circular. You'd go through this insert, and you'd turn the pages, and you'd circle everything that you just knew that Santa Claus was going to bring for you. And it didn't really matter that you never got. I never thought about the fact that I never got any of the things that I circled. It was always the chance of what might be. It was the hope that was Christmas. It was the lights, and it was all of the noise and the crowds and the people. It was Santa Claus. It was the cartoons, the Christmas cartoons, the holiday cartoons that you would watch, Charlie Brown and the Grinch and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All of those that only showed one time a year, and you had to make sure you caught it on the night that they came out. It was the only way to watch them. It was a special treat. And so that whole 2-3 weeks following Thanksgiving for me as a kid with not a lot of means and a lot of brothers and sisters found it to be out of this world. Something for that 2-3 weeks of the year that we were all equal. Didn't matter what the neighbors had. It didn't matter what other people brought to school in their lunch boxes or what kind of cars they drove or what kind of bikes they had. It didn't matter because at Christmas time, anything's possible. And then Christmas would end, I suppose, and everything that I wanted, I would never get, but only as an adult did I reflect on that. I never remember at all as a child not remembering or being disappointed that I never got that thing that I wanted. I remember being disappointed that Christmas was over, but with all the cookies and the different foods, the friends and people that would come over and all the pomp and circumstance and noise and crowds and hustle and bustle and flow that is Christmas time. To a kid, a poor kid, growing up in those times, that was an environment that was a drug, and sugar cereal was a big part of that. So I don't think I'll be having sugar cereal here on Christmas. Although if they were wrapped up, I'm sure my brother and I could get together and shake a couple of boxes and figure out what's in it. But I will remember what Christmas is all about, and I don't ever forget that. Christmas is a simple time. I go out. I love the crowds. I love the noise. I love everything about it. Things I hate during the rest of the year, I should point out. But as we come up on Christmas, year in and year out, I never forget a simple box of cereal and how it made me feel like the richest person in the world. And I appreciate that I've never forgotten that. And I think because I look at Christmas so simply might be why I get so much out of it. So that's my Christmas story. To all of you guys, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a great New Year. And I look forward to 2023. I'll do a year-end kind of update on what I have going on. But for now, enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy the holidays.